You put a note
Good
out,
morning
I
to
think
you.
it was yesterday morning, on how you trade this. If you could tell our viewers about that.
Yeah, well, I think right now the uncertainty that is still crowding market. I think some people may think that the Chinese market seems to be insulated, from the rest of the world. But the sense is that China is a major oil importing country, and also commodity price are surging as well. So it's hard to see how China initially can benefit from this crisis, because the upstream inflation is still very high. So the profit margin for the manufacturing industry is still quite narrow. So and also there's a risk of the pandemic continuing in China as well. So I think right now, even though the price volatility in the Chinese market has been lower than the overseas market, but it has been the case even in the past. In various episodes of war in overseas, the Chinese market volatility tend to be lower than the overseas market.
And Hao Hong, we did just get the latest PMI numbers, very good numbers, and the reason I bring that up is people are now looking to the PBOC. Do you think they need to put in some sort of insurance cut or signal to shelter the economy at this point in time?
Well, I think if I haven't seen the PMI numbers. My best guess would be that the export orders continue to be quite strong. So it helps the manufacturing sector, and also in the past couple of days, I think last week the PBOC injected 500 billion RMB via open market operation, and I think yesterday it was another almost 300 billion RMB injection as well. So there's plenty of liquidity in the market, and also if you look at the market interest rate, it has been quite low. So it's hard to say that at this juncture you actually need more liquidity in the system. But right now I think the problem in the economy really is that the demand has been quite weak. So even though you're pumping liquidity into the system, right? So if you look at, say, for example, construction activities, and also some of the consumption of raw materials needed for infrastructure building, they're quite weak as well. So to me, a demand problem cannot be easily solved by just pumping liquidity.
So is there sort of anything that could maybe telegraph that we could be close to some sort of bottom in Chinese assets? And I know you've talked about, look, we shouldn't be focusing on when to hit a bottom, but really, have we already reached a peak in Chinese stocks?
Yeah, I would say so. I think the overall market index will remain volatile. I think last time when Russian had a war in Chechnya, I think it lasted for 2 months, more than 2 months, and I think the Chinese market struggled a little bit during that period. So I would say that for now, because there's some sectors that offers more certainty in this volatile environment. For example, energy clearly is going up, commodities are going up. And also national defense as well. So I would say that those are the sectors that you can focus on, and also the infrastructure sector that has been on a pretty strong footing even during the crisis. So I would say that those are the sectors that people should focus their efforts on instead of looking at the overall market.
MPC projections, anything that you think that you're looking more closely on this week, Hao?
Yeah, I would say that it's the usual suspect. A goal for economic growth for this year. I think if you tally up all the provincial growth targets so far has been released, and use a similar weight that you used for calculation last year, then you get a number of just about 5%. Also, probably more details on infrastructure planning, green energy. And also, most importantly, how we're going to deal with the property industry going forward, because the industry has been struggling for 2 years now.
Yeah, I mean, home sales continue to slump was our latest story yesterday too, Hao. So I'm wondering, then you put what's happening in the housing market together, what's happening in the financial market. What are people doing with their money? Is there loose powder out there? What's sentiment like?
Yeah, I would say that the consumption level is still quite weak. We're still not back to the absolute level that we've seen before the pandemic. I think, when times are uncertain such as this, people tend to hold on to their cash instead of, making a huge purchase. And also because the stance from the government is still not clear, regarding how the property market should go from here. Because for the past 10, 15 years, the Chinese property price has been surging, right? So it's actually one of the best assets that you can buy versus Chinese stocks. So I think right now, because people have, I think many households have more than one property, sometimes even 2 or 3. So, because the portfolio has been so fully loaded, it's hard to see how people would buy property when property price is this high. So I think, the twin sessions would probably have more details on affordable housing, which can be used as a buffer for growth for 2022.